Lila never expected her entire life to change because of one moment, one choice, one fragile act of kindness. But when a Japanese billionaire walked into her restaurant, ignored, confused, and treated like he didn't matter, she did something no one else did. She greeted him in perfect Japanese. And in that instant, two broken worlds collided. Stick with this video to experience the power of empathy, the beauty of human connection, and the moment that transformed both of their lives. Like, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories. Hiroshi Takamura had never liked airports, but he liked arriving in foreign cities even less. Los Angeles was loud in a way Tokyo never was. Here, voices layered over engines, over street musicians, over impatient footsteps. Everything felt like it was in a rush to outrun itself. He stood near the curb, suitcase handle in hand, while cars whirred by. No one glanced at him. No one offered help. For most people, he was just a short, unassuming, slightly aging man in a travel-worn jacket. Someone's grandfather. Someone who maybe didn't speak English well. Someone too slow for the pace of this city. Perfect. And painful. He had chosen to travel without security, without announcements, without the silent entourage that normally flanked him. Just one man, alone, anonymous, finally. He wanted to feel human. Yet as he tugged his suitcase onto the bus heading downtown, the driver didn't wait for him to fully step inside. The vehicle lurched forward. He stumbled, catching himself on a pole. A couple laughed softly. A teenager muttered, "Move faster, man." Hiroshi bowed instinctively. "Ah, sorry, sumimasen." They ignored him. He took a seat by the window and exhaled. Moments like these, every small indignity pricked old wounds. It reminded him of the years before his company rose, when he had worked night shifts and people rarely looked him in the eye. Back then, he dreamed of wealth not for luxury, but for respect. He learned too late that wealth didn't guarantee respect, only attention. Respect from the heart, that had become rare. His late wife, Emmy, used to tell him, "People see what they want to see. The trick is finding the ones who look deeper." He hoped, quietly and painfully, that such people still existed. Tonight, he simply wanted a warm meal, a place to sit, a moment of peace in a city that didn't know his name. He checked into a discreet boutique hotel, dropped his things, and walked until he found a glowing restaurant with tall windows and soft light spilling onto the street. It looked ordinary, but inviting. "Good," he murmured. "Ordinary is good." What he didn't know was that inside, someone else was also fighting their own invisible battles. Someone who would change everything he believed about strangers. Mika Santos tightened a knot on her black apron as she stood behind the counter of Cityline Bistro, a mid-range restaurant crowded with chatter and clinking glasses. The smell of garlic butter and sizzling steak drifted from the open kitchen, but nothing masked the exhaustion clinging to her bones. "Table 12 wants more water," another waitress muttered as she rushed past. "Table 7 is complaining again. Mika, can you take the new walk-in? We're slammed." She was always the one people ran to, dependable, quiet, efficient, invisible. Customers saw her as the nice girl, the polite one, or the one who remembers orders. No one saw the girl fluent in 4 languages. No one asked how she learned Japanese from the grandmother who raised her. No one cared that she once dreamed of working as a translator. Dreams didn't pay bills, and bills were piling up. She plastered on a smile and delivered the water to table 12. They didn't thank her. A man waved her off mid-sentence when she explained a dish. Another snapped his fingers for service. She swallowed the sting. She always did. Being sensitive didn't earn tips. Her manager, a stout man with a constantly furrowed brow, approached. "Mika, we need you on front tables. And be quicker tonight. A lot of customers are complaining about slow service. She blinked. But I've covered 4 stations alone. No excuses. Smile more. He walked off. Smile more. The phrase dug under her ribs like a thin blade. She wiped her hands on her apron and forced brightness back into her expression. Tonight felt heavier than usual, like something was shifting in the air. Hiroshi paused outside the restaurant door, breathing in the scent drifting from within. Warm, familiar despite being foreign. He pushed the door open. A gust of night air followed him inside, catching Mika's attention from across the room. She looked up and froze for half a second. An elderly man stood by the entrance, small suitcase in hand. His clothes were neat but plain. He looked tired, lost. People stepped around him without a glance. Most staff didn't even notice him. But she did. Always. "Hi there," a hostess finally greeted him, though her smile wavered with impatience. "Do you have a reservation?" Hiroshi shook his head politely. "No reservation. Just dinner." He spoke carefully, his accent strong but clear. The hostess sighed quietly, checking the seating chart as though he were an inconvenience. "It might be a while, maybe 20, 30 minutes. He nodded. "I can wait." She motioned him towards a small bench by the door, then walked away without another word. Hiroshi sat down, folding his hands on his lap. It didn't bother him to wait. He had spent a lifetime waiting. For partnerships, for meetings, for decisions, for respect. But the glances from passing customers bothered him. Sympathetic smiles, dismissive looks, a few children staring, tugging at parents' sleeves. He felt out of place, a visitor in every sense. Mika watched from the service counter. Her chest tightened. No one should look that alone while surrounded by people. She recognized the softness in his posture, the polite patience, the way he held his silence with dignity. It reminded her of her grandmother. It reminded her of home. She felt the tug inside her, the kind that told her she couldn't just stand and watch. But before she could move, a cook shouted an order, pulling her back into motion. She delivered meals, cleared tables, refilled glasses, all while stealing glances towards the entrance. Hiroshi remained there, quiet and unnoticed. Why isn't anyone helping him? She wondered. The manager finally noticed him. He approached, irritation already plastered across his face. "Sir, if you're not ordering soon, you're blocking space." Hiroshi stood immediately, bowing his head. "Ah, sumimasen, I waiting, still." The manager exhaled as though speaking to him required effort. "Fine, just don't stand too close to the path." Mika stopped mid-step. Her jaw clenched, her heart tightened. Whatever she had been carrying all day, exhaustion, frustration, self-doubt, suddenly sharpened into something else entirely. She moved toward the entrance, slowly, steadily, like someone approaching a moment that would change the course of her life. Hiroshi stood near the wall looking at the menu posted by the door. The English words blurred together. His stomach twisted quietly in embarrassment. He missed Emmy. She used to translate menus for him when they traveled. He blinked away the memory. Then, a soft voice approached from his right. "Konbanwa, omatase shimashita." Hiroshi froze. His breath caught. Someone had spoken to him in perfect, gentle Japanese. He turned slowly. There she was, a young waitress with tired eyes that somehow still carried warmth. Her posture was humble, but there was something unmistakably respectful, dignified in the way she addressed him. And before he could speak, she smiled, small but sincere. "Watashi ga goanai shimasu." I will take care of you. For the first time in a long time, something inside him stirred awake. Recognition, relief, humanity. And for Mika, something stirred too, a buried confidence that whispered, "He sees me, and I see him." Their worlds had finally collided. If this story already touched your heart, make sure to like, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories.
For a long moment, Hiroshi could not breathe. The sounds of the restaurant, plates clinking, chairs scraping, chatter rising and falling, all dimmed beneath the weight of one truth. Someone finally saw him, not as a burden, not as an old foreigner to ignore, not as a problem, but as a person. "Mika-san?" he asked softly, not sure why her name came to him. She hadn't told him yet. He simply sensed the tenderness in her presence. She bowed lightly. "My name is Mika. Please come with me." Her Japanese was smooth, touched with a slightly different accent, but gentle and respectful. It sounded like memory. It sounded like home. She guided him to a quiet booth near the window, away from the bustle. No one else had thought to do that. But Mika always saw the details others ignored. She placed a menu in front of him, then paused. "If English menu is difficult, I can explain everything in Japanese." His throat tightened. All at once, shame and gratitude tangled in his chest. "You speak beautifully," he murmured. "My grandmother taught me," she replied, a small smile tugging at her lips. "She was from Osaka." The word Osaka made something inside him soften further. Emmy had been born there. He swallowed hard. "Arigato. I feel very grateful." She nodded, not out of politeness, but understanding. For Mika, this wasn't just good service. It was instinct. It was connection. It was the one part of herself she still felt proud of. But kindness has a way of drawing eyes. As Mika took his drink order, a customer from table 7 called out sharply, "Hey, we've been waiting forever!" Mika flinched. Her manager shot her a hard glare from across the room. "Mika, focus on your assigned tables." She bowed apologetically. "I'll be right back." Hiroshi watched her hurry away, shoulders tight, steps quick and nervous. The manager walked past him, muttering in irritation. "She always gets distracted." Distracted? By him? The words pressed a bruise deep inside Hiroshi's chest. For decades, he had been surrounded by people who pretended to care but never truly did. And now the one person who had shown him genuine kindness was being reprimanded for it. The injustice made his jaw clench. But he said nothing. He had learned the hard way. Speaking up often made things worse for the kind-hearted. Still, he watched her as she served several tables in rapid succession, apologizing when she wasn't at fault, smiling through rudeness, quietly absorbing every careless word. She returned 10 minutes later with a glass of water and a soft apology. "Gomenasai, I am sorry for the wait." He shook his head. "You have done nothing wrong." Her breath halted. For a moment she simply stared at him as if the words were rare jewels. Compliments didn't come to her often. Respect came even less. "Thank you," she whispered. They held the silence together, the gentle kind that warms instead of chills. Mika explained the menu in Japanese, translating each dish with slow clarity. Hiroshi listened intently, nodding, occasionally chuckling at her pronunciation of certain Kansai dialect words. She blushed. "I know my accent is not perfect. It is perfect for you, and that is enough." Her heart fluttered unexpectedly. Compliments about her language were rare. Most people found it odd, unnecessary, or braggy. Hiroshi looked at her with a softness she hadn't seen in years, a softness that made her feel like she wasn't just performing a job, but being truly appreciated. But as she took his order and turned to leave, a group of loud diners at a nearby table whispered, "She's wasting time with that old guy. She just wants a good tip, probably flirting to get something out of him." The words hit Mika like stones. Hiroshi heard them too. He bowed his head, shame burning through him, shame he had done nothing to earn. Mika's fingers curled around her notepad. For a moment she wanted to whirl around and correct them, tell them that kindness didn't require profit, tell them that respect wasn't flirting. But she bit her tongue. Respect rarely defended itself in public. She continued her tasks, but something subtle had shifted inside her. She felt protective of him now, instinctively, fiercely. When she returned to his table, she placed his meal down with deliberate care. "If you need anything, just call me. I will come." He nodded. "You remind me of someone very dear." She blinked, surprised. "Your wife?" He inhaled sharply. The question struck deep. "Yes, she was kind. Like you." Something in her chest glowed, tender and aching at the same time. "I'm honored," she whispered. For a moment their eyes held, two strangers bound by something deeper than chance. Mika stepped away to give him privacy to eat, but when she turned, she found her manager standing behind her. "What are you doing spending so much time on one customer?" he hissed. "You're falling behind, again. If you keep slowing down the service, you're going to lose shifts." "I wasn't slowing." "Don't argue. Just get back to work." Something hot and humiliating rose in her throat. She wanted to defend herself. She wanted to tell him that she was the only one who had helped the man at the door. But words failed her. Instead, she nodded silently. Hiroshi, hearing parts of the conversation, lowered his chopsticks. He had been belittled politely for years, in contract negotiations, in boardrooms, in business deals masked as partnerships. He knew the sting well. But seeing someone berated for doing exactly what was right stirred an anger far deeper than any insult thrown at himself. Still, he remained silent. For now. Halfway through his meal, an unexpected tremor passed through Hiroshi's fingers. He reached for his water, but misjudged the distance, nearly tipping the glass. In a flash, Mika was there. "Daijoubu desu ka? Are you all right?" Her hand steadied his. Warm. Steady. Human. He swallowed hard. I'm fine. My hands just shake sometimes." She didn't judge. She simply adjusted the glass, refilled his water, and left a small folded napkin beside his bowl. "Take your time," she said gently. "You don't need to rush." For a man who had rushed his entire life, the words felt like balm. But the shock waves of their meeting were only beginning, because this small moment of compassion was about to ripple into something neither of them were prepared for. Hiroshi realized he couldn't stop watching her, the way she moved, the way she softened her steps to avoid startling guests, the way she glanced at him to check if he was okay. She realized she couldn't stop feeling drawn to him, not romantically, but in a profound, human way, a way that said, "This person matters." Two lonely souls had touched, and the ripple was unstoppable. If this emotional moment hit you, like this story. Comment your reaction below and share how you feel. Don't forget to subscribe. The tension is about to rise.
Hiroshi returned to City Line Bistro the next evening. He told himself it was because the hotel food was bland. He told himself he enjoyed American-style miso soup. He told himself it had nothing to do with the waitress who had spoken to him with gentle respect. But when he stepped inside and scanned the restaurant, his heart tightened when he didn't see her. Perhaps she was off. Perhaps she was avoiding him. Perhaps— "There you are," the hostess chirped. "Table for one again? We'll seat you in the back." In the back? He wanted to ask for Mika, but the words felt foolish. He had no right. He barely knew her. And yet he felt the absence of her voice like something missing from the room itself. Mika was there, hiding in the kitchen doorway, pretending to check her order slips, but really staring at him. Her pulse stumbled. She had thought about him all night, not in a romantic, fluttering way, but in a way that unsettled her emotionally. Why did he remind her of her grandmother? Why did his loneliness pull at her heart? Why did helping him feel meaningful? But feelings were dangerous. Feelings didn't pay rent. Feelings made you vulnerable. She turned away quickly when her manager approached. "You're on table 10, 13, and 16. No personal conversations tonight. Keep it quick." Her brows nodded. "I wasn't." "Don't argue. We have VIP guests tonight. Don't embarrass us." "Embarrass us?" The word struck like a slap. She swallowed her hurt. "Yes, sir." But her eyes drifted one last time toward Hiroshi. She wanted to greet him. She wanted to say, "I'm here." But fear tugged harder. Hiroshi sat quietly, trying to appear unconcerned, but his gaze kept moving toward the service area. He wondered whether he had caused problems for her by accepting her kindness. Perhaps the manager thought he was slowing her down. He clenched his hands under the table. Maybe it is better not to burden her. A young waiter approached to take his order, rushed, monotone, eyes glazed with exhaustion. "Ready to order?" Hiroshi hesitated. I was wondering if—" He stopped. The waiter tapped his pen impatiently. "If what?" "Nothing," Hiroshi murmured. "I will have the grilled salmon." As the waiter walked away, Hiroshi felt foolish and old and painfully out of place. He had been trained to negotiate billion-dollar deals, yet he couldn't bring himself to ask for the one person who had made him feel welcome. Across the room, Mika misread his silence. She thought he didn't want her service. She thought maybe he was embarrassed to interact with her in public after the whispers. She kept her distance. The distance hurt both of them more than they admitted. The restaurant grew louder as evening rush peaked. A large party of business guests arrived, demanding attention and snapping fingers for faster service. Mika was assigned to them. She hustled between tables, balancing trays, delivering drinks, dodging rude comments. "You're late with the appetizer. You gave me the wrong sauce. Are you new here or what?" She bit her lip until she tasted iron. At one point, a man grabbed her wrist to get her attention. She jerked back, heart hammering. "Don't ignore customers," he said sharply. I wasn't," she whispered, but her voice was drowned out by his friends laughing. Hiroshi witnessed the moment from across the room. Rage rose like a flame in his stomach. Real, burning, protective rage. He half started to stand up, then froze. Would he embarrass her? Would he cause more trouble? He sat back down slowly, fists trembling with restraint. No one should be treated like this. Not her, not anyone. Mika rushed to the kitchen, blinking fast to hold back tears. The head cook shook his head. "You need to toughen up," he muttered. "Customers are always like that." She didn't answer. She leaned against the wall, counting her breaths. 1, 2, 3. You can't cry at work. Her hands trembled as she steadied a tray. But when she stepped back into the dining room, a sudden collision sent the tray flying. A businessman from the large party had stood up abruptly without looking behind him. The tray crashed to the floor. Plates shattered, sauces splattered. Customers gasped. The manager stormed over. "Mika, what did you do?" Her chest tightened. He stood up. "Don't blame customers for your clumsiness." The restaurant went silent. Mika's face burned with humiliation. Her throat thickened painfully. Her eyes glistened, a warning before the dam broke. But then, a quiet voice cut through the tension. "That is enough." Everyone turned. Hiroshi had stood up. For the first time, he looked every inch the man he truly was, calm, steady, composed, but holding an authority that commanded the room. He stepped toward them, his gaze firm. "I saw everything," he said softly. "The customer stood without checking behind him. She did nothing wrong." The manager scoffed. "Sir, please sit down. This doesn't concern you." Hiroshi held the man's eyes. "It does concern me because she helped me yesterday when no one else would, and now she is being criticized for something that was not her fault." Whispers rippled through the tables. The business group looked uncomfortable now, some glancing down at their hands. Mika felt her breath catch. No one had defended her publicly before. Ever. Not like this. Not with calm conviction. Not with truth. The manager folded his arms. "Sir, with respect, we handle staff matters internally. You are not handling them with respect," Hiroshi replied firmly. A silence fell. Heavy, tense, electric. For the first time, she saw him differently. Not just gentle, not just lonely, but quietly powerful. And for Hiroshi, something clicked in his soul. I will not stay silent while kindness is punished. The manager, uncomfortable with rising tension, snapped. Fine, Mika, clean this up and get back to work. But Hiroshi stepped closer. No, he said gently, turning to her. You should take a moment. His voice was soft, but the compassion in it broke something fragile inside her. Tears she had buried all shift reached her eyes. She blinked fast. I'm okay. But he shook his head. You don't have to be okay. Those words pierced her armor. And just like that, circumstances pulled them together again. She set the tray down slowly. He reached for a napkin from his table and handed it to her. Their fingers brushed. The spark from yesterday flared, stronger, undeniable. She took the napkin with trembling hands. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded once. And in that moment, an unspoken truth settled between them. They needed each other more than they understood.
Lila didn't know how she managed to take another step. Her legs trembled, her fingers shook against her apron, and her heart hammered in her chest like it was trying to break free. But she kept walking, because Ethan, the millionaire who everyone swore was made of stone, was following her. Not pushing, not demanding, just following, like he was afraid she'd disappear if he blinked. She slipped through the back hallway, past the wine racks and soft jazz in the dining room, toward the service exit. Cold air hit her face the moment she stepped outside. Finally, silence. She leaned against the brick wall, letting the sting of humiliation settle in. The laughter of the wealthy men from earlier echoed in her skull. Every sneer, every insult. She didn't hear Ethan approach, but she felt him. Lila, he said, voice low, please, don't go. She wiped her face quickly. I'm fine. I just need to breathe. You're not fine, Ethan said gently. And He paused, swallowing. I made everything worse, didn't I? She didn't answer, because admitting the truth would break her. He stepped closer, but not too close. No pressure, no looming presence, just a man trying, not ordering, to understand. I should have handled them differently, he said. I should have defended you the moment they touched you. I knew they were trouble. I knew who they were, and I still... You warned me, Lila whispered,
but I wanted to prove I could handle it. Lila, proving anything to men like that is a waste of your brilliance. Brilliance. The word hit her like warmth spreading through cold fingers. No one had ever described her like that. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly looking human, less billionaire, more broken. I wasn't angry at you, he admitted. I was angry at myself because seeing you upset, it does something to me. Lila blinked. Ethan, why do you care so much? He hesitated. This was the moment, the turning point he couldn't undo. Because every time you smile, he said, voice rough, it feels like the whole place lights up. And when someone hurts you, I want to tear the world apart for letting it happen. Her breath caught. But before she could respond, the back door swung open. The same 4 men stumbled out, loud and smug, holding cigars and arrogance like trophies. Well, well, one of them slurred. Look who's having a romantic little chat. Ethan's eyes sharkened instantly, cold, lethal. Lila stepped slightly behind him out of instinct. Another of the men smirked. What's wrong, princess? Not brave anymore? Ethan's jaw flexed. That's enough. Oh, big man speaks. What are you gonna do? Sue us? Buy the pavement we're standing on? The leader leaned close, blowing cigar smoke toward Lila. She should be grateful we even gave her attention. Waitresses like her should know their... He didn't finish, because Ethan stepped forward, voice low and dangerous enough to freeze the night. You will not speak to her again. The men scoffed, but something in Ethan's eyes made their smirks falter. This restaurant is under my protection, and so is she. The men looked at each other, suddenly unsure if they were drunk or stupid or both. One cleared his throat awkwardly. Fine, we're leaving. But as they backed away, the leader muttered just loud enough for Lila to hear. She's not worth the trouble. She flinched. Ethan saw it. He turned so fast, the men froze. Say it again, Ethan growled. The man blanched. I didn't mean... No, I want you to repeat it. Tell her to her face that she's not worth anything. I dare you. No one moved. Even the night held its breath. The man's throat bobbed. Look, it was just a joke. Calm down. Apologize, Ethan ordered, and mean it. They stumbled over half-hearted apologies, swallowing their pride and their insults as they hurried away into the dark. When they were finally gone, Ethan turned back to Lila, face softening instantly the moment his eyes met hers. You okay? She shook her head, then nodded, then let out a trembling laugh. I don't know what I am. Ethan exhaled, stepping closer, but gently. Then let me help you figure it out. The night was quiet again, but not like before. Something had shifted, something real, something impossible to ignore. Ethan, she whispered, if you keep stepping in like this, I don't know how to stay guarded. Then don't, he said simply. Silence. Then, her heart cracked open a little. Ethan. Yes? Why does it feel like everything changed tonight? His answer was a whisper. Because it did.
Inside the restaurant, the dinner rush was dying down. Light music floated through the air again. But for Lila, everything still pulsed with the heat of what had just happened outside. Ethan walked beside her, not touching, not assuming, just present. More present than anyone had ever been for her. When they stepped back through the service hall, the staff looked up, conversations dropped, eyes widened, because Ethan didn't look angry. He looked worried, and he looked at her like she was the only person in the room. Do you want to stop for tonight? He asked, voice soft, but full of authority. Authority directed at protecting her, not controlling her. Lila shook her head. I want to finish my shift. Ethan blinked, surprised. Then
proud. He nodded once and followed her to the front, where the manager rushed over. "Leela, what happened? Those men—" "Handled," Ethan said calmly. The manager froze, swallowing hard. "Yes, sir?" "Leela's break ends when she says it does," Ethan added. Leela looked at him, startled. He wasn't just defending her dignity. He was restoring it. For the first time in hours, she breathed. Not shakily, not painfully, just breathed. Toward the end of her shift, a family entered the restaurant, a couple with 2 young children. They spoke rapidly in a language most people around didn't recognize, but Leela did. She stepped forward, greeting them in their native tongue. Their faces lit up with relief. Ethan watched from a distance as Leela took their order in flawless fluency, switching dialects to match their comfort. The kids giggled, the parents relaxed. The tension that had consumed the earlier part of the night dissolved into something warm and effortless. She was radiant, and Ethan finally saw the truth he had been sensing all along. She wasn't just capable. She wasn't just multilingual. She was extraordinary. When she walked back to input the order, Ethan approached her carefully. "How many languages was that?" he asked. "4," she said, shyly. "3 in the same family, 1 regional. And you do this every day?" She shrugged. "It's just normal for me." "No," Ethan said firmly. "No, Leela. Nothing about what you just did is normal. It's brilliant." There it was again. That word. Brilliant. Leela looked away, embarrassed, but Ethan was done pretending. "You need to stop hiding," he said quietly. She frowned. "I'm not hiding. You're surviving," he corrected gently. "There's a difference." Her breath caught in her chest, and slowly, painfully, she realized he was right. Her shift ended at midnight. The staff trickled out. The lights dimmed. Ethan waited outside for her, not ordering her to join him, just waiting if she chose to. She stepped out into the cool night. They stood under the glow of a street lamp, the air humming with everything unsaid. "Ethan," she whispered, "you didn't have to stay." "I know, but I wanted to." Wind brushed her hair across her cheek. Ethan hesitated, then lifted his hand slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed the strand back behind her ear. Something warm and unfamiliar fluttered in her chest. "Leela," he said, voice rough with sincerity, "you deserve to be seen, and respected, and protected. But more than anything, you deserve someone who doesn't make you feel small." Her eyes burned, not from sadness, but from the shock of finally hearing what she'd needed for so long. "Why are you saying all this?" she whispered. He inhaled deeply. "Because I care about you more than I should." Silence thickened between them. "Ethan, you don't even know me." "I know enough," he answered softly. "I know how you treat people. I know how you speak with kindness, even when they don't deserve it. I know how hard you work. I know the strength it took for you not to fall apart today." He paused. "And I know that I haven't cared about anyone like this in a very long time." Leela's heart twisted. "What happens now?" she whispered. He stepped closer, not consuming her space, just
meeting the trembling distance between them. "That depends," Ethan said. "Do you want me to walk away or stay?" Her breath hitched. All night she had fought humiliation, fought fear, fought vulnerability. But this she didn't want to fight. "Stay," she whispered. Ethan exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. He didn't pull her into a grand embrace. He didn't kiss her. He didn't overwhelm her. Instead, he stepped beside her, close enough for warmth, far enough for choice. "Then I'm here," he said. Leela looked up at him under the dim street lamp. "Ethan, what changed tonight?" He smiled softly. "You did. And so did I." For the first time since the incident, the world didn't feel heavy. It felt possible. Leela let her shoulder brush his. Not an accident, not hesitation, just quiet permission. Ethan looked down, eyes softening with something deeper than admiration. Something beginning. "You don't have to be afraid with me." She nodded slowly. "I'm not." They stood together as the night settled around them. Two people who had collided by accident, shattered old shadows, and stepped into something bright enough to start again. And though neither said it out loud, both felt the truth shaping quietly between them. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. And that night, beneath a quiet street lamp, two people who had spent years feeling invisible finally saw each other clearly. A billionaire rediscovered his humanity, and a waitress rediscovered her worth. If this story touched you, let me know in the comments. Like the video to support more creations like this, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us that kindness still matters.